Welcome to Monday, October 9th, 2023, your day weather podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily, Wyoming's only statewide newspaper. Get your free digital subscription by hitting the subscribe button at cowboystatedaily.com. Well, folks, eventually we knew our luck would run out, and it is. Changes are coming after another spectacular autumn weekend, and we've had a lot of them this year. We're seeing changing weather conditions come our way in the form of a Pacific storm system, but it will be a nice start to the week. So for today and Tuesday, we'll just continue to have some really nice weather. The changes really begin to move in as we have this energetic and very quick moving Pacific storm system digging southeast into the Rockies. This is a storm system that we'll show you here on the satellite imagery that is going to be coming in very quickly off the west coast of British Columbia. Kind of a sneaky little system moving in rapidly. And after this beautiful stretch of weather, it's going to be quite a change. The storm is going to quickly form into what we call a closed low system, closed low pressure over northeastern Colorado Wednesday late into Thursday, and that's going to produce the first snowfall of the season for some of the low elevations of Wyoming, but parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, Colorado. Montana could get into the mix as well. It's the first snow of the season, so there'll be a lot of melting. Certainly, though, hunters and travelers need to be prepared. Hunters in the mountains of Wyoming and Colorado, be prepared for what will be a significant snow event in some of Wyoming's high country. Travel will be impacted as well in the usual areas. Interstate 80, the higher elevation roads and highways of south central and central Wyoming will be impacted. And obviously, it is going to be getting much, much colder with this system moving on in. Beautiful fall colors still showing up here from the Sierra Madres here. But after this storm, we're going to see a lot of those colors go away. So hopefully you took advantage of this weekend. The satellite photo, two things really jump out at you. Look at all the clear skies in the western United States. Just the beautiful weather, the lack of weather, really dominant across the west. But you can probably see it, the swirl of clouds here off the coast of British Columbia. This is a very energetic system. And also another thing to point out, you see this area of cloudiness that is heading east? Okay, there's a lot of jet stream energy coming in across the North Pacific, coming in at the base of the trough. And you need that for these systems to start to take a track more southeast off the Pacific and take a more southerly route. These strong jet stream winds are going to help dig in this low underneath the big high pressure ridge we have. And you can see this here very well in the 500 millibar chart. The 500 millibar chart is at 18,000 feet. You can see that big low over the upper Great Lakes, the big high that's over us. But right here, you see where all these lines are packed together? There's this a very strong temperature gradient out in the Pacific helping to drive this storm system and cause a lot of jet stream energy. So when you see that, and you see it angled to the southeast coming into the west, well, trouble is brewing. And what we see is that system, so this is today, this is by Wednesday morning. So it quickly comes in, erodes the high, and you'll see it as it goes further south and east as we get into Thursday. Ahead of the system, this is where we're going to see the precipitation through tomorrow. So through tomorrow, east of this line, barely nothing going on, but you can see the Pacific Northwest starting to get wet. This is by noon Thursday. The system comes in, gets cut off from the main jet stream, and forms a low over northeastern Colorado. So the counterclockwise circulation brings upslope into portions of eastern Wyoming, central Wyoming, the western areas of the Dakotas, western areas of Nebraska. Cold air rushes in on the backside of the system, and it's going to be able to spin up and become an impressive little storm system. These October storm systems, the first one or two, can catch you off guard. So that's why we want to give a heads up to hunters, travelers, livestock interest as well. Really an abrupt change. These are the temperatures by Thursday afternoon. The cold overspreads the area very quickly after a very mild day today, a very mild day tomorrow, and Wednesday starts off pretty mild as well, but an abrupt change coming. Significant moisture along and north of the low. With the low there by Thursday into Friday, the heavier moisture is always going to be along an axis north, northeast, and northwest of the low. So you can see, going to be significant rain across South Dakota, Nebraska, eastern areas of Wyoming, and across northern Colorado, stretching back up into Montana. It's going to be a cold rain in many areas, but also cold enough to, yep, you guessed it, produce some snow, maybe even along the Pine Ridge of South Dakota and Nebraska. And look at the Black Hills here, the Bighorns, even Laramie Peak, the Laramie Range, into the Snowy Range, Sierra Madres, and in the mountains of central and northern Colorado. So this system is going to be a little bit directed more east and south than the last couple, which have been really focusing their mountain snows more back here. So this is a bit of a different animal, focusing in a little bit closer. Keep in mind, with the first storm of the year, the ground is still going to be wet. So don't freak out too much by the numbers you're seeing here, other than to say there's probably going to be the first snow of the year on some lower elevation plains of Wyoming, Nebraska, and South Dakota with this system, with the mountains getting into the act as well. The good news is by the weekend, look at that, the lows into the Great Lakes, and we have another area of high pressure building in between systems. Then eventually some of this will come in later, but after the storm, mid to late week, a break in the weather by the weekend is expected. So stay tuned. We'll have more for you tomorrow. Be ready for changes.